Jan Blachowicz defeated Aleksandar Rakic by TKO last week, and let's see what are the outtakes from this fight. Because I will tell you one thing: this fight doesn't have loser. This fight has both winners, and I will tell you why. So stick around. First of all, let's go to the Aleksandar Rakic. He looked good. I was afraid that he might be afraid to pull the trigger, like we've seen in his fight with Thiago Santos. He's just keeping on the outside, keeping the kicking game strong, but he was afraid to commit, because Thiago Santos is a heavy-handed guy, and so is Jan Blachowicz. So seeing Aleksandar Rakic, just popping the jab off, and not being afraid to go some wild exchanges with Jan Blachowicz, who knocked out some very solid guys, was a great improvement from Aleksandar Rakic. Of course, his kick game was still solid, but I really like that he's slowly being more and more confident in himself. He's slowly using the jab more. He's not afraid to go into the exchanges and push the button. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean you have to go in and brawl for like 3 rounds straight, but in order to fight the top level guys, you cannot just hope for that Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou decision, where like no one is commenting too much and you just throw like 2 more jabs. You know what I mean? So Aleksandar Rakic just pushing forward and just actually bringing it to Jan Blachowicz was great. On the other side, Jan Blachowicz, amazing, and I will tell you why. Because from his last fight against Glover Teixeira, it's like it wasn't even competitive, Like Jan Blachowicz, when he fought Israel Adesanya, looked amazing. After he fought Glover Teixeira, literally his very next fight, he looked terrible. He looked like he lost all his confidence in that fight. Like it wasn't even competitive. Like he didn't even try. And I was speculating, like, what if it was because he's now a father. He's getting older. He's a father. Some people say like, hey, once you become a father, you lose that animalistic touch with that the dark self. It's an actual thing in the UFC and also in MMA fighters. Like sometimes the people just lose. Like once they see their kid, like, oh my god, I have to take care of myself. I cannot be so crazy anymore. Like because this kid needs a father. After I'm done with this career. So we've seen that Jan Blachowicz, he was not afraid. Aleksandar Rakic took it to him, and Jan Blachowicz didn't fold under the pressure. And that's great. This is why I'm saying that both guys are winners, because Jan Blachowicz is getting his confidence back, He's not folding under the pressure like he did against Glover Teixeira, which was a terrible fight, a terrible showcase for him. And Aleksandar Rakic was like, okay, I can take it to the best guys in the division. I'm not afraid to fight them. I'm not afraid to take it to them. So I'm not going to just try and fight for like some easy decisions. And, he took some solid punches from Jan Blachowicz. And man, Aleksandar Rakic proved that his chin is not the weakest. I understand that he's not trying to take any unnecessary damage in the exchanges, but like he should not be, he should be pressing more. Press the button, hit the jab, hit the combination, end it with the leg kick. Take out, go again, repeat. So this fight was great. However, what happened is that basically in the last round, Aleksandar Rakic popped his knee. I think it was like ACL on the side or something happened. It was a terrible injury. Something that you don't want to see to happen. Like no one wants to see anyone getting injured, And this is, now we switch to the side like, hey, this is actually kind of a reason because of Jan Blachowicz. Because like, we've seen that Aleksandar Rakic looked good, right? And what I mean by that is like, to the naked eye, he looked very good. If you're just a casual fan, you're watching the fight and you see those jabs, you see those kicks, it looks good. It looks flashy. It looks like Jan Blachowicz was damaged under the eye already. Like it looks good, right? However, usually people don't see the very small things. For example, Jan Blachowicz managed to literally to check most of his kicks, And checking is just a small thing, just rotating your knee and your shin bone a little bit, so your muscle doesn't get the impact. It goes bone on bone, And usually it hurts the both fighters, but usually if you have a strong kicking game, you could get more more afraid to throw it, more like you'll be holding off a little bit. If someone is checking your leg kicks, all of a sudden it means like you are not doing something correctly. And Jan Blachowicz did good, and even Israel Adesanya praised Jan Blachowicz that his tight guard is very strong. It's like very hard to penetrate, like because like he doesn't have that wide stance such as Conor McGregor, for example. That wide karate stance, which people can abuse by those calf kicks. But he keeps it closer like a Muay Thai fighter, which is much harder to basically to hit those low kicks, and it's much easier to to uh, to block the kicks and check them. And on top of that, he has a strong power in his hands. So legendary Polish power, right? So Jan Blachowicz did all those small things very well, even though you couldn't really see it because like Aleksandar Rakic just looked too flashy. But Jan Blachowicz was checking those kicks. And you check, one too many kicks, it leaves some damage. And the damage could have been seen on Aleksandar Rakic in a way that he was switching the stances. All of a sudden, he had to put his right leg, his power leg to the back. So that put even more pressure on the knee. Now imagine that you are not maybe like, of course he trains, both stances, right? He trains southpaw and orthodox, of course. However, it's like being right-handed and left-handed. Or like, great example would be like being right-handed and left-handed in an NBA or in a basketball, right? You can use both hands as easy, as simple, but you still, feel more comfortable with that one hand, it's either right or left. You are more comfortable with it. And if you're more comfortable with it, you use it more often. You rely on it more often. So if someone forces you to completely switch to the other hand, you might not have used that other hand in this regards leg that often, and now you put it into high adrenaline situation when you are getting, there is like too much stress, too much power, too much pressure on the specific tendons, and the knee just might just give up. It's like it's the nature, like it's very unlucky first of all, and it might just give up. So it's like one of those things like holy shit, like how can you prevent it? It's very unlucky. That's one thing. You can't just prevent shit like by saying like drink more milk. It's just not gonna happen, right? But even if you train both stances, the thing is that Jan Blachowicz did very well. He neutralized Aleksandar Rakic's low kicks, forced him to change stances, and also Aleksandar Rakic mentioned that his knee was kind of injured, but not fully prior to the fight. Which even more added to the to this cause of this injury, which is very sad. Like it's very sad. It's very unlucky. But don't forget the fact that Aleksandar Rakic is only 30 years old. He is still young, and he is still at his peak. And even though he lost this fight, by injury, he should not feel bad for it, because he knows he can take it to the best of the fighters. He's becoming more and more confident in himself. He was striking with freaking Jan Blachowicz, who has a lot of power. That's another great thing. And he's just young. He's still young. He's just about to peak in his physical prime. So if he recovers fast, I don't know, give him 9 months to 1 year easily, he will come back and he will be good. So I think he should not, feel bad. Of course, it fucking sucks to have an injury like that, but he should not feel bad about himself. And for Jan Blachowicz, and even though it's like he said it best himself, it's not the best way to win, but it's a win at the end of the day. Whether you liked that his confidence is coming back as well, and he still keeps doing the small things right. So should he be the next for the title? For the title, should he be the next title challenger? I believe so. Because we have in 3 weeks we have Jiří Procházka versus Glover Teixeira, and that's a hell of a fight. Let's say that Jiří Procházka wins. He's from Czech Republic. Jan Blachowicz will be next in the title. He's from Poland. Neighboring countries, Central Europe, Slavic countries, like you could sold out an insane stadium in Poland or even in Czech Republic. Like that fight to make in a Europe, holy shit. Like, the amount of viewership from the Europe would be crazy. And if Glover wins, which I think it's like more likely if Glover wins, then you could make a rematch, possibly. But I think the Jan Blachowicz should be next in line, because he should not get the bad prep just for winning by Rakic being injured. It's a win. He didn't look amazing, but it's a win at the end of the day. And he was the champion. He just lost the championship. So he's the number one guy in the line. After this title fight next. So he shouldn't be skipped so much. Like, there'll be just too much of a disrespect. But Jan is a very humble guy, so I think the UFC maybe will link him up with Ankalaev next. That could be a good fight, but we'll see. So what do you guys think? Do you think that was there a loser in that fight? Because I believe both are the winners. They both looked in their own perspective good, even though people can say like, oh, Rakic was easily winning the fight. Blachowicz did all those small things that you don't really see very well. And he was getting his confidence back. So the third round would probably decide, who will win the fight or not. What do you think? Who will be next for the title? Do you think the Rakic will be back? And do you think that Rakic will become a champion one day? Let me know down in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Cheers.